All right, all right, all right. Thank you guys for being here. Oh my gosh. I'm very, very excited for today's live stream. Um, why? Because it's going to be different than the typical factions live streams, which I've been doing most of these last few Wednesdays. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you and say hello to all of you who are here right now in the chat. I've been seeing your comments as I was setting up, and I just love seeing the community kind of come together for live streams like this. It's just so touching. What's up, Dr. Disco, El Coxie? El Coxie, you show up for pretty much every live stream, and I always notice that. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Fire Girl, as always, thank you, and thank you for the 229 donation before the stream even started. That was incredibly generous of you. Thank you. Virtual Art Vandalay, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate your guys' support. Samuel, Sid, Logan, Quentin, Happy Hansu, Ajosa, thank you guys. Thank you, thank you. Urban's here, Mr. Maha, Mr. Tennis. Mr. Tennis, you always show up for these as well. I appreciate it. You have really good insight on things as well. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tennis. Yeah, I have worked to upgrade the stream quality. So my hope is that everything will be at this quality moving forward, both factions and these discussion videos or discussion live streams. And for those of you who have been to my previous two discussion live stream, both after the Ending Explained video and then Why Did Joel Save Abby video, which is really, it's kind of just, that one is just a video about Joel. It's called Why Did Joel Save Abby, but that is really entirely about Joel's character arc. And we will talk a lot about Last of Us Part 1, Last of Us Part 2, and what is to come, right? That is what this live stream is all about. We're going to go over the story structure of The Last of Us Part 2. I'm kind of assuming that you've watched my most recent video, which is How Naughty Dog Saved the Cat. And I think that title probably really confused a lot of people. Like, what is he talking about? A cat? Why would Naughty Dog save a cat? So just from a show of hands, maybe in the chat here, how many of you have watched that video and what did you think of it? So put yes or no. And if you did, put whether you liked it, whether it was so-so, or if you really didn't like it. I know it's a 40-minute long video, 40-minute long. So I know that's a huge commitment for many of you. Let's see, what do you guys think? Love the title. Save the cat. Yes. What's up, Sahavir Singh? Thank you for being here. Thank you, Lady X, for being here. It was amazing. Watched it. The theories were great. Not yet. Logan hasn't watched it yet. It's okay. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll go over things to kind of bring some people up to speed really quickly. Yes, I love it. Saw the whole video. Great vid. Loved the essay. Loved it. Haven't seen it yet. Mars hasn't seen it yet. Really enjoyed it. Samuel says perfect video. Jesse says great as always. What's up, David? Thanks for being here. Yeah, you're new to the channel. That's okay. You are in for a treat. Didn't realize how deep the game was thematically, says Drew. I agree. It was long, but I thought the way you organized the deals made it easy to follow. Great work. Thank you, Mr. Tennis. All right. So, yeah, I should go ahead and put... So this is the thumbnail of it. We'll talk about this video and story structure and why. I had you guys last Wednesday, kind of guess what this thumbnail was about. Oh, actually, I should do this too. There we go. Maybe just a little bit of music in the background. Does that sound okay to you guys? Let me know if that music is too loud. I thought it might be kind of nice to have some of these soundtracks while we're talking about this stuff, just as a nice little calm background. If it's good, let me know. Thumbs up in the comments. If you need to turn it down, let me know. I'll turn the volume of that down as well. Firas says he really enjoyed the comparison to other media, made it a lot easier to understand. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, that is why I kind of did that. And once you kind of get familiar, oh, perfect, Alcoxy, perfect volume, thank you. Once you get used to this whole hero's journey and Save the Cat, both of them, I find it very difficult to watch a movie and not see these parallels. I watched Up, Pixar's Up, this last weekend. And it's like when, for those of you who've seen it at the very beginning, you know, I don't want to give any spoilers away if you haven't seen Up, but it's a very good movie, very touching movie. You know, his wife passes away, and then it's like this catalyst, and he has to literally take his house. He ties a bunch of balloons to it, and it goes up, right? Like that is, oh, I'm like, he's crossing the threshold now. It's like these different things just all popped out, and it's like, oh, he's having his dark night of the soul moment. You know, it's like all these little things you just start noticing in so many films, so many films. And the very last part of this video that I put out was this. I wanted to talk about the TLOU journey. So this is, and I'll talk about this several different times throughout this live stream. This is a community challenge. It's not it's not just about me. This is about the entire community. I want you guys, each of you, to use the hero's journey to create and share your own vision of The Last of Us, how you think or how you would like it to end. And for me, this is something that we talk about a lot. I know a lot of people think, like, will there even be a part 3? Like, I think it ended. I know one person, Stories of Old, put it out that he thinks it ends right there. He kind of tied it into Dostoevsky's Plague and had the last lines of that. But I think it's perfectly set up for part 3. Thank you, Jane Robin. Awesome. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Walter, part 3 was a great literary breakdown of the story beats. Thank you. Yeah, so to get back to the TLOU journey. So I get comments about people saying there's no redemption. This was a terrible game. Like, there's nothing for Ellie at the end, yada, yada. And there's a very specific reason that you felt that way. And that's why I kind of wanted to make this challenge in this TLOU journey. I want to hear what you guys have to say, and I really hope many of you participate in this. So I'm going to go through and just kind of, I think some people are having a hard time understanding the TLOU journey idea and the hero's journey as well. And so I want to kind of go through a couple of things really quick, just to distill that whole 40-minute video down of what is hero's journey into like a minute or two. This is one graphic that would kind of help. So you start in the upper left corner at separation. At the top half is ordinary world. The bottom half is the special world, right? You really need to know that. So start at the very beginning. You leave the ordinary world. You descend down to the special world. While you're at the special world, you undergo an initiation. It's kind of like knowledge, a learning, become more aware of things. And then you take that knowledge and return back to the ordinary world. And it's a cycle, and this cycle repeats over and over again. This is the hero's journey. It's not just a point A to point B. It's a cyclical nature. And you see that with Abby. Here's another just super simple way of putting it. Simplified hero's journey model. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, separation, initiation, return. Ordinary world, special world, back to the ordinary world. And you see this in so many movies. All those 4 movies that I listed, right? All those 4 movies that I listed, they all have this, right? Something is wrong, they have to leave. That's the very first one. Act 1, separation. Something is wrong, they leave. Act 2, they face trials and become a hero. Act 3, they take that knowledge and they return home to save the day. And some people said, there is no hero's journey in The Last of Us Part 2, like Abby isn't a hero. She didn't return home. Like, she ended up somewhere completely different. I'm like, well, that really entirely depends on your perspective, right? Here's the full thing. Here's Vogler's hero's journey model, the full thing altogether. Vogler took the hero's journey of 17 steps and kind of distilled it down to 12, which I think works very, very nicely. So here's another way of thinking of Abby. She started off as a firefly in Salt Lake. Her father dies. The fireflies are like decimated, right? Because of Joel's actions. They lose their immune, Ellie, their immune kind of like key to the future. She's gone. So that's where she started, like chronologically. She ends up going to Seattle, gets messed up in all kinds of nastiness, right? But where does she end? She ends going back to the Fireflies. Yes, it's in Catalina. It doesn't have to be like a physical, like the same place, but she's going back to her ordinary world of being a Firefly again, the kind of idealism of a hopeful future, right? Not just slaughtering Seraphites. And some people say that Abby she had this great ending and she didn't lose anything. I'm like, she lost her father. She lost all of her friends. She lost almost everything, but thanks to Lev, the elixir, she did not. She stopped that second cycle of violence and was able to leave, right? For me, the beginning, Ensel Road says, for me, the beginning of part 2 actually marks the beginning of Ellie's journey. She's no longer living by others' ideas or who she was. She's now free to create her own future. Yes. If Ensel Road, if you watch that's exactly the end of my video when I end Ellie's hero's journey. What is her reward? Because Ellie does not finish the whole journey. No, she does Act 1 and she does Act 2. This is where Ellie ends. And this is why a lot of people feel that Ellie's journey is incomplete. They're not satisfied with the ending because it's an incomplete hero's journey. And that's one of the things that I wanted to really say is you're supposed to kind of feel that. You're supposed to feel like, hey, this is not a great ending. Hello, Jonas. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here as well, Jack and Daniel. It's an incomplete. And where does it end? So if we're looking here, that Act 2, approach the inmost cave, the ordeal's her fighting on the beach with Abby. The reward, what is her reward? Her reward is freedom to choose. That's literally what I put in the video. I said freedom to choose is Ellie's reward. And I had a graphic of Marlene on the left, Joel on the right. Those are her mother and father figures, right? We don't know anything about Ellie's actual biological father. Zero, nothing, not even mentioned once. We know just a tidbit about Ellie's mom, Anna. Just a tidbit from both Marlene and a letter that was left. But those two father figures, or mother-father figure, Marlene and Joel. Marlene took the utilitarian. The ends justify the means. She obviously doesn't want to kill Ellie, but in order to create the vaccine, the whole Firefly thing, she was willing, begrudgingly, but willing to make that sacrifice. Joel is the opposite. He obviously has some personal issues with a lost daughter. And for him, it's all about satisfying his needs. That, it's good. And it's kind of really interesting because some people see it as oh, Joel, the Fireflies, they wouldn't be able to do the vaccine, and that it would just kind of lead to a situation where they had power over the vaccine and caused even more problems for everyone in the world. Joel did not even think about that. Joel was not going to that length. For him, it was just straight up, for him, it was all just about him and his journey with his daughter and trying to come to terms with his daughter. Yeah. That's what that is about. So let's see. So then I think Joel has faked his death. I don't think Joel faked his death. I think Abby will play a big part in part 3. She didn't put starting in nothing. I kind of mentioned that. So we can what is the final steps here? We can do these. So here's the act 3. If we want to say that act 1 is the last of part 1, act 2 is the last of part 2. What is act 3 for Ellie and this story? The road back, the resurrection, and return with the elixir. And just the really simple version of that is, Ellie has to figure out what to do with her immunity. She has the freedom to choose. That's the thing that wasn't. Joel wanted her to hide it. Marlene wanted to, for lack of a better word, exploit it. She has to choose. Does Abby know Ellie is the immune? She does. She does, Mr. Tennis. And in the theater, that's where Ellie kind of gets it wrong and tells Abby, like, I'm her. Just let them go. I'm the one you want. I'm like the immune girl. And she's like, I don't give a rat's ass. You killed my dad. You killed my friends. That's what I want to go after you guys for that. So she kind of misread that situation. Because she kept thinking that Abby was still like this Firefly Abby, and she wasn't. She was very, very far from that. Dr. Disco, did Ellie get her knife back? No, I don't think she did. It fell in the water in Santa Barbara. It did. And I did notice that. So with all of these moving from act to act, with these journeys, you have to give something up. You have to leave something behind. That is part of the initiation to moving on to greater understanding, is you lose something. That's right. I let you both live and you wasted it. Thank you. Thank you, Rip. So here's another way to look at it. This is an idea I'm kind of been mulling over in the back of my head lately. Act 1, Last of Us Part 1, can be represented by a giraffe. Act 2, the initiation, duality, represented by zebra, black and white. What's Act 3 going to be? It's actually already been hinted in the game, but maybe think about that. What's up, Sam? No, I'm not working with them. I'm not. That would be cool though. That'd be cool though if they did that. But no, I'm not working with them. Yeah. So these are the 12 steps of the hero's journey, and we can kind of contrast that. Actually, before we even get into Save the Cat, I have a couple shout outs. First of all, shout out to Darius Stone. He is the one who he kind of cued me into Save the Cat model, and made me take a second look at both Save the Cat and Hero's Journey in regards to The Last of Us Part 2. And he helped me with my script quite a bit. So huge shout out to Darius Stone. Thank you very much, Darius. Second, Dana Roy. He made a cameo. I want to kind of start having cameos in my video of different people in the community, and different YouTubers and stuff like as well, because I think it really breaks it up. Please let me know in the chat, for those of you who have seen the video, how many of you enjoyed Dana Roy's cameos, because this is a very dense and very it can be very serious nature with these videos. They can be a very, very dry listen, and he kind of broke it up quite a bit with some really, really good insightful humor. So let me know if you enjoyed Dan's role. Dan was so fun in the vid. He was. And then last but certainly not least, that I want to include is Haylox. She made this wheel. All I did is I got her the stone. If you guys notice, I'll point something out at the very end, but I gave her these little icons, and she turned it into this really awesome engraved stone with all these kind of like rotating titles, which was really, really helpful for the video. Quite a bit. It took me a long time to find all these little icons, something that really exemplified, I feel like, the what I was trying to get across with each of these stages. That one's a dragon. The ordeal. I'm like, a dragon sounds like a pretty good ordeal. This one's literally a footy player celebrating. Road Back, I like that one a lot. It kind of reminds me of Jackson a bit too. Resurrection of the Hero, I like that one quite a bit. And Return with Elixir. So if you look when this pans out, there's a cat head in the middle. So that was the little thing that I really wanted to be like a little subtle nod. And Haylox, she did an amazing job with this. Amazing job. So let's see. So now we'll go to save the cat. Doink. And oh, you're having more fun with it, and it shows the video. It means you're enjoying it. Yes, that is true, Mr. Tennis. I want to have fun with these videos. This last one took over 100 hours. It took a huge amount of time. Huge amount of time. Just for comparison, the ending explained took about 60 hours. I think the Joel Abbey one, that was like 40 to 50 hours. This last one was over 100. Took me 2 months. And I had, it literally killed my old laptop. It melted down. And so I had to, oh, Happy, you noticed the cat? Oh, good. I was wondering if anyone noticed the cat head in the middle. It's like, it was very subtle, but it was kind of saying like, oh, like a little nod to save the cat in the middle of the hero's journey. She will go find Abby again and says to her that Dr. Even takes 15 years. Ellie wants to sacrifice because she doesn't want to die, but she lived a full life. I can understand that. Yeah, finally, maybe after having lived a full life, she comes to terms with it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Virtual. It is a great addition to the video. I like it. Yeah, it's really good. But along the lines of enjoying your videos, I'm kind of working on a next video, which isn't along these. It's kind of related to multiplayers in general. But in terms of enjoying what you're doing, you kind of think of motivations, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations. Hello, Joy. Welcome. Thanks for being here. You love the part 3 theory? Yeah, we'll get into part 3 theories here in a second too. And I will really hope once again to get more from you guys. But to kind of talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations, intrinsic is like you do something because you enjoy it. And I feel like when you do that, it really comes through as in like you're passionate about this thing, versus doing it like YouTube is a perfect example. If you're doing YouTube to try to like get attention, money, all those things, I feel it really comes through in your videos. It really does. It can make them feel a little bit more, I don't know. I don't want to say shallow or sterile, but it just has a different feeling to it versus if you put like I know this last video I put out, tons of time in it, tons of effort and passion. And when you do that, oh, thank you, James. Thank you so much. That is right, James. That's exactly what Ellie's reward was for this last one. She can freedom to choose. She can choose what to do with her immunity from now on. Huge thing. When you're really passionate about it, yes, it may not get the views. Like this last video I put out will probably get nowhere near as many as the previous two. But someone said in the comments, they're like, I know this video isn't getting very many views right now, but I think it's by far your best one. And thank you for taking the time to do it. And for me, I love that. I love hearing that because I agree. I think this probably is, and it really should be, given the amount of time I spent on it, which was copious. But so let's talk about Save the Cat here really quick. Save the Cat is very similar to the Hero's Journey, but it's more streamlined. It was made by Blake Schneider, who was a screenwriter, and he kind of like distilled that Hero's Journey down and made it a formula that in his Save the Cat model, he has specific pages within this screenplay that you would use each of these beats. And you can find this formula in so many movies, so many. But it's a formula that works. That's the thing. It really, really, really works. And so my whole theory in this video was talking about how the last chapter, the epilogue, starting in the farm, opening image, ending in the farm, final image. So that's 1 in 15. How they used Save the Cat with the epilogue. And it flows really well. How many of you loved the epilogue? How many of you found it to be just the pacing, the flow of it, the emotions to be really, really good? Because I personally found it to be exceptional. First of all, I was very surprised that the game is continuing. Like, at first I was like, whoa, what? We're going to like Santa Barbara now? Like, I thought the game was going to end at the farm. But no, it had so much more to tell. Reprosco says, I think hating on TLOU became a bit of a fad. It was such a fad. Awesome, Mr. Tennis, you got your Rusting coffee cup. I like that coffee cup a lot. Nice. I know, I think of Joel too. Cheers to Joel every time we drink our coffee. I actually have coffee right now. I like espresso. Espresso more than coffee. Sorry, Joel. I'm kind of an espresso guy. All right. But yeah, the hating there was kind of a wave after the leaks. I kind of feel like not everyone, but a lot of people jumped on this wave of negativity on the game. And people really didn't give it their full attention or nuance to allow the story beats and the experience. It's an experience. You really have to experience for yourself. You can't just take someone's review and have that replace it. I think my videos, I put them out later because I did not. First of all, they took a long time to make, one. Second, I wanted people to experience for themselves first, then we can have this discussion, right? Kind of felt it would end at the farm, but I also felt something needed to happen. I just didn't know what that time. Exactly. There's a couple moments I felt the game was over, but just kept going. Yes. And even at the end, did you guys get a sense of closure? Did you get a sense of closure once Ellie went back to the farm after Santa Barbara? Let me know in the chat. Did you get a sense of closure from that? My guess is no, but I want to hear what you guys think. I really, really want to know what you guys think. I was surprised when Ellie went to Santa Barbara. Yeah, Happy was surprised. I think the Last of Us game are art because it inspires so many different emotions. Yes, I would agree. The hate died down, says Shane. Yeah, I think it did as well. Bilgun says no. Momo says no. They did not get a sense of closure. My friend wanted the game to fail like the entire year before release. I thought it was a good ending. It was forgiveness and moving on. The ending made me feel a lot of emotions. Emptiness is one of them. Yes, a lot of people felt emptiness. Not at all. No closure. No closure. I don't know what it means. Did you get closure? It's like a feeling of satisfaction at the end of a story. Elias. Yes, I did feel closure in a way. It was sad, but yes, more hopeful, like you said in your video. Thank you. Ending hit me with so many emotions, to be honest. There seems to be a lot more to come in this universe. Ellie's story really began there. Feel we could let go of the hate, but we still need closure. Yes, Luis. And once again, to reference the hero's journey, it's because of this. I think so many of us did not feel closure because it did not reach its end. No closure, though. I know it's like, the game was coming to an end. You knew Ellie was walking off. But there is an emptiness feeling. Like she lost everything, right? She lost everything. She lost her fingers, her ability, connection with Joel, left Joel behind with the guitar, right? We should go back to that. Here, I'll put that in the background. Right there. There's so much in this little picture here that I put just as a background, right? The guitar and Dina's bracelet. Surprised twice when I thought it ended. Why did Joel get her a guitar with a moth? Good question, Bingo. I will address that in 1 second. Think about TLOU, it's one of my time. I just want to check YouTube. We watch some old videos each streaming. Thank you, Victor. Yeah, I stream every Wednesday. I'll probably start doing it more than just once a week, but I stream once a week, and it's always Last of Us. I'm a Last of Us dedicated channel. That's what I do. And thank you for being here. So why did Joel get her a guitar with a moth? I addressed that in the ending explain video, but it's that was his way. It's like his relationship with Ellie. After they got back to Jackson, and they got back from the hospital, he told her the lie and everything. He needed a reason to still have a relationship with her, right? And you could kind of see even at the beginning they were kind of distant, right? Their protective father kind of dynamic it wasn't necessary in Jackson, was it? She was pretty much safe there, so he was kind of obsolete at that point, right? He was obsolete, and so he gifted her a guitar so that they could play guitar together. He could teach her how to play guitar. He still has a role as a father, right? And that guitar, I kind of mentioned this. So here's kind of like the journey of the guitar, right? The journey of the guitar. The very beginning, he finds the guitar in the house. He's like, I'm going to give this to Ellie. He's cleaning it. There's no strings on it. It's raw. He's cleaning it up. He's trying to salvage their relationship, right? In the Finding Strings chapter, there's a chapter called Finding Strings. Ellie and Joel, at the behest of Tommy says, hey, why don't you two go over there and get some strings, There's some infected over in that music center, right? But get some that's right, Falling Away, Fire Girl, that's right. So they go to get some strings to repair the guitar. The guitar is like the relationship. They have to repair the relationship. They have to repair the guitar. While they are there, they run into that massive bloater, and they fail to get the guitar strings, right? They say, you know what, we're gonna have to let's not get the guitar strings. Let's get the hell out of here, right? And then they find the young couple that left, and that's when Ellie confronts Joel, like, hey buddy, there's a lot of holes in your story. It's not making a lot of sense. And Joel, I love Joel. He tries so hard. He's like, yeah, that's what they told me. Whole bunch like you. He's just like, he didn't do a good job there. And that they didn't get the strings to repair their guitar. And from that point on, their relationship continues to erode, right? And so where does it end? It ends after Santa Barbara when she goes back. She sees the guitar there. She can no longer play it. It's no longer harmonious. But she's able to leave it and leave the relationship behind. She's able to finally come to terms with Joel. That's what that's about. And she now has the freedom to choose. It's kind of like he's no longer... What's the word I'm looking for? He's no longer having this oppressive influence on her, right? For me, the couple is Ellie and Riley when Ellie reflects on it. I could see that. And I kind of mentioned that in my part 3 we'll get into my part 3 ideas here in a second. But I think Ellie's immunity and how that kind of connects with those around her, being able to see others, like Riley, the others get infected, like Sam right in front of her, like Tess, right? Riley, Tess, Sam, those affected her so much. And it's not just that they died, right? It's not like that they died like Jesse did with the shot to the head. That affects her. But notice the ones that really, really affect her. It's the people that got infected. Those are the ones that really weigh on her because she feels like maybe she could have done something, right? Jesse says, any good piece of art will make you think, create discussions, and let the audience find their own interpretation. Yep. There's a lot of interpretations you could take from this. There's a lot. This is just one. Once again, I'm not saying this is like the one right way. Absolutely not. There's a lot of different ways you could look at this. Do you think Neil was influenced by existentialist writers like Sartre or Camus? I could see that. I could definitely see that. And when we talk about Neil, I think it wasn't just him. I think he started the story, but I think Holly Gross helped finish it. And I think the two of them kind of combined. So I can see influence of both. I wish like they kind of got asked like what mark did they leave, and they both kind of made very general answers to that, and I think rightfully so. What's up, Yago? Thank you for being here. What's up, Burbaspin? Thank you for stopping in, man. I feel it like there's some dark cloud that cover her feelings the whole time. Yes, there is. There is an oppressive cloud, an oppressive Joel cloud, Victor. That's a good observation. To get back to Neil and Hallie, I think they did a wonderful, wonderful job on this. I'm kind of curious if Hallie kind of did the epilogue with the Save the Cat. I'm just curious, or if they both kind of did that. I know the endings got changed a couple times. I have a feeling that Neil wanted it to end there, maybe Santa Barbara like that. But I don't know, maybe one day they'll say. Maybe one day they'll do a behind the scenes of Last of Us Part 2 and they'll kind of unveil some of this stuff. But for now, we can just talk about it. And I'm okay with that. I'm writing my own game. Your vids help. Oh, awesome, Cam. Thank you. Thank you. Good to hear. I hope, Cam, that you submit a TLOU journey. We'll go back to that a second. Let's go back to that because it's really good. We'll close those two. Drink. And we'll go back to the TLOU journey. Once again, please submit a TLOU journey. So I've kind of showed you the simple method, right? I've shown you Act 1, Act 2, and what needs to happen in Act 3. What needs to happen. And please tag me on Twitter, TLOU Strategist, and the hashtag TLOUjourney. Feel free to submit more than one, but please use the hero's journey when you are creating your submission, and know that it can be cyclical. You can just do the final steps if you like, right? You can do the final 3 steps, or you can do all of them once again. I'm probably going to do all of them within the final thing. I already have another idea of how I would end it. Actually, let's see. I had one written down that I could share, a very simple one that I could share that I did earlier. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'll give you a very simple... Okay. Here's a very, very basic TLOU 3. Starts off, Ellie does not know how to use her immunity, right? She has the freedom to choose, but she doesn't know how to do it. She's kind of like in limbo. Her life is kind of depressing, right? I kind of said that in my initial kind of idea. Her life's kind of depressing, living on the outskirts of Jackson. not on good terms with both Dina and Tommy. So maybe she hears a rumor that the Fireflies are running tests, or another faction is forcing people to be bitten to try to, in an effort to find immune people, right? It's kind of like this kind of like interesting thing where they're kind of like forcing it upon people because they want more than anything to find another immune person. It doesn't have to be the Fireflies. It can be another faction. So Ellie goes on an adventure. She has to leave, right? Separation. So she goes on an adventure to find out how to make a vaccine. But she also has to come to the realization that there's a cost. She knows the cost, and it's probably her life. And at this point, I think she realizes that. How would this end? Very simply, after going on her journey, she returns back and destroys the faction that was trying to do the experimentations and whatnot. So a lot of times people, they're missing something, whether it's physical or internal, right? So Ellie's missing her fingers, physical. Luke Skywalker lost his hand, right? Frodo lost, I think, one or two fingers when, at least one finger when it got bit off, right? Because it had the ring on it. So this is a theme of losing things. It can be physical, but it can also be internal, right? What journey will recover their internal damage? And that's a lot of part 2 was Ellie's internal damage, right? And if you think about what took Dina away from her, like Riley and Joel, it wasn't death. Death took Riley and Joel away from Ellie, right? So what took Dina away from Ellie? It's what she did, right? It's what she did. You don't want to write one because I'll be real sad if it doesn't happen. Oh, don't. I think, so I have like tons of these ideas. I don't expect any of them to happen. Like the idea of this challenge isn't to guess what is coming. It is to throw ideas out there to offer your own take on this trilogy. And I do think it's going to be a trilogy. I really, really do. I can see about 5 or 6 part 3s. There's so many different ideas. So many different ideas. Ellie doesn't know that the Fireflies, there's Abby. Depends on whose story you want to follow. It's true. Honestly, I think something bad must happen to the town of Jackson. I was a little surprised it didn't happen in part 2 because they kind of teased it a bit. Yes, Edsel Road, good point. I agree. I think so as well. I think something must happen to Jackson as well. I kind of mentioned this in a couple different videos. First the mythology one, and then the ending explained how Jackson is kind of like this Elysium or false Elysium, right? Kind of like the place where warriors go to spend the rest of their days. And where do we submit? It's on Twitter, Cam. Here you go. I'm going to put it right back up again. Take this 12 steps off. You go to Twitter, tag me at TLOU Strategist, and hashtag TLOUjourney. That's it. That's it. I hear you, Mr. Tennis. You can just make a simple account. You don't even have to like follow anything like that. You can just put it in there. I'm not asking you guys. I know a lot of people think if they go on Twitter that they have to add all their friends, they have to do all this stuff. Like, I use my Twitter, TLOU Strategist, I use it simply for The Last of Us related content. Like, that's about it. Last of Us and the greater kind of gaming community a bit. But that's about it. Like Sony, Naughty Dog, Last of Us, that's all I use it for. And I will say that my interactions are 99% positive. I know by saying that I'm probably asking for some hate, but 99% of the time, it's all positive experiences. And because of this, you guys, like, I have had interactions with these people that make the game that for me is like super, super cool. You know, they say like, oh wow, like this is like when I did that live stream for Last of Us Day, like Naughty Dog tweeted it out a couple people from Naughty Dog said, hey, thank you so much for doing it. That was really cool that you decided to contact people in the community and get this live stream event together, which is, for me, just really, really cool, because it's about, so that's what this is about. It's about the community. For me, I want to be able to share your guys' visions of Last of Us Part 3, because I can share my visions all I want, but it's just my own. I'd rather see what you guys think as well, right? Because I know a lot of you guys are super smart and you have really, really good ideas. I see them in the comments. I try to read every comment that gets posted. I can't always. A month ago, I was getting hundreds of comments a day, and I really fell behind. Really, really fell behind. And so it's taking me a little bit of time to catch back up. But now that I only put out one video all last month, which I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit about, only once. For 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, for 3 years, I averaged 2.5 videos a week. And then last month, I only put out one video the whole month. Once again, it's because this last video took a long time. And we had wildfires up here, had to evacuate, and, life, all that stuff happens. Laptop melted down. I literally built a budget PC. I had a friend teach me how to build a budget PC so that I could do this. That's why the live streams are great now and all this stuff. Higher quality is because I decided to take that unfortunate incident of my laptop melting down while the How Naughty Dog Saved the Cat video was being edited. While that killed that, out of the fire, that like a phoenix, came this new budget PC, which is working great so far, knock on wood. What's up, Rage? Thank you, Rage, for saying that. You're too kind. You're too kind. Rage, I hope you submit one as well. I know you might be intimidated by that. Rage's Rager is a very, very good factions player. And he's putting out some excellent videos on The Last of Us Part 2 Factions 2 potential. So shout out to you, Rage. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you have the developers back involved in playing and talking. They are very busy, Virtual, and I respect their time more than anything. I know they need to do what they need to do. They have very, very strict non-disclosure agreements. I would never, ever ask them to do anything that would compromise that. So I try to set very, very strong and respectful boundaries, and that's what I do. What's up, Yikes? I'm doing well. How are you? Joel let his guard down while living in Jackson 4 years. It wasn't out of character. I can believe that. I mean, it was a couple things. Yeah, Joel changed a bit, his demeanor, and it's also what happened the night before, right? The night before his demise, his death. Ellie told him, like, I want to try to forgive you, like, I'm really pissed at you, but you need to change, and so that was like the last thing in the back of his mind. So he's like, I need to change. Next day he's like out there trying to be a different man, trying to be a better Joel, trying to be a better dad. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That was fresh in his mind, right? We're all kind of like that a little bit, right? Recency bias. I think it's called recency bias, right? So, yeah. TLOUjourney, please submit. I want a ton of submissions. I really do, because there's going to be a live stream on Saturday, the 24th. It's probably going to be around 3 o'clock or so. It'll be Pacific Standard Time, which will be like 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which should be about 9 p.m., I think, UK. So it'll be a little late for UK, but with that, I want to share your guys' stories, and I want to do it justice. I want to have some really good stories to share with everyone. And this is your guys' chance. If you want to have your story, your views put out, that's what that live stream is going to be dedicated to you guys. And I kind of really love doing that. I really, really do. Sean Sar, where's Bill? He needs to return. I'm glad you said that. In one of my ideas of a Last of Us Part 3, I have many, but in one of them, I'm going to find, let's see. We want to go there. No, let's go Vogler. So right here, in one of these, the tests allies and enemies. In one of them, I have Ellie kind of like collecting up all her allies. Bill being one of them, right? Abby being another one of them. Abby, Fireflies. She has to kind of unite people against. In my initial part 3 pitch, it's like an unstoppable horde that's heading towards Jackson, right? Jackson will be wiped out and he'll just keep going. And maybe Abby and the Fireflies, much like Gandalf the White and I forget the army that Gandalf brought. Maybe some really good Lord of the Rings enthusiasts can tell me which army Gandalf brought. Like kind of comes in at the last second, right? From the hillside. Maybe Abby could do that. How cool would that be? Right? How cool would that be? Bill will come back for the magazine. He probably will. I told you not to touch my stuff. I do like Bill quite a bit. I think I want more Bill, or at least find out how Bill went out in this world. I really love that section, that chapter with Bill and the chessboard, the allusions to Bobby Fischer. And Bill's story was really good. I think a lot of people missed a couple of the little things about it. When you're at the Capitol, when you're escaping the Capitol and you go into the sewers, there's a note there that discusses Frank. It's the note, like to say, oh, we're supposed to meet this contact who wants to get back into the quarantine zone. That's Frank. It doesn't explicitly say Frank, but that's him. That's like your first inkling of Frank's plan of leaving Bill. But I really liked Bill's character. I know he comes off as like this gruff kind of dick, right? And like some people don't like him because he's so like brash like that. But I mean, you have to remember that he is like this warning to Joel of what happens when you kind of isolate yourself, right? Don't touch anything on that board. That's right. Are we ever getting factions too? Yes, I think so, Ghost of Van. I think we are. Do you hope for an Ellie Abby duo journey? I don't, because I don't think it would necessarily happen. I think it would happen maybe for a little bit. But once again, you have this group that represents humanity, you know, or like the idealistic vision of humanity, which I think Jackson represents that perfectly, right? They have to fight. They're going against this unstoppable horde, just like, you know, Aragon. They're all fighting this endless orc army, right? Of Sauron. They're looking like okay, they're dead. Same thing. While that's happening, you have this hero go on this solo journey, right? To go after the root issue. For Frodo, it's the ring. He has to go it alone and destroy the ring. Thank goodness Sam's with him. For Luke, he has to face the Emperor on his own and come to terms with his father, atonement of the father. Right? And this is part of, I think a lot of people looked at this thumbnail and thought like, oh, Ellie's Vader, you're saying Ellie's evil. It's not at all. I mean, it's like hero and villain, right? Hero and villain. The hero's on the left, villain's on the right there. But what do they both have, or what can they both have? They can both have a redemption story. What did Darth Vader do at the very end, right? He killed the Emperor, saved his son. There was still good in him at the very, very end, right? And he died kind of a hero, right? After having the entire time been thought of him as like this villain, right? So that's kind of, there's a lot of reasons why I chose this. I think Star Wars and The Last of Us Part 2 have really good, interesting parallels. And so, yeah, that's another reason why I chose that thumbnail. I don't think she cares about the vaccine anymore, Victor. Do you think get factions to this generation next? I think this generation. I think they are still planning on supporting the PS4 for at least 3 or more years. Do you think we'll see more types of infected, another Rat King? Yes, definitely more types of infected. Absolutely. Imagine the animal kingdom becoming infected, like an infected bear. Like imagine this huge horde of infected with at the front is like bears and wolves who are way faster, right? Just imagine that. Welcome back, Jack. Thank you. There has to be a redemption or Joel's purpose would be gone. Thank you, Mr. Tennis. You hit that nail right on the head. Abby and Ellie becoming BFFs and way too cheesy, not fit in the dark world. Yeah, I would agree, Ash. They can respect each other. They don't have to be best friends, but they can respect each other. And it really would set up this really surprise of priorities, right? Like so many times, like kind of like this analogy for the world is when you have all these different groups that are so focused on their own cause. So you imagine the world is on this boat that's sinking, and people say like, oh, if we all work together, we can repair the boat and we can all live. And one person says, no, I will do that, but after you agree to my cause, to support my cause, whatever it may be, right? And the other person says, no, you want me to help you, but you need to help my cause first. You know, all these different causes are fighting. They all want their own thing first. And when that happens, the entire ship sinks, right? Because they're afraid that if their cause isn't met, then the ship will be saved, and then they'll just be back in a oppressive place once again. So, once again, going forward, will they be friends? I don't think so, but they can still respect one another. And in order for the ship to survive, in order for the world to survive, they need to figure out a way to work together. What's up, Ion? I'm doing well. Thank you for stopping in. Did all the Seraphites die? And I saw someone else mention the WLF. The WLF and the Seraphites, they didn't all die. There's obviously stragglers still alive, but the understanding is both of those organizations are effectively destroyed. They will not exist in the same way that they were before. And that's not just my kind of view. This is actually coming from Neil Druckmann in a Last of Us podcast. The Last of Us podcast. If you guys haven't listened to that, do that. Definitely listen to that. And I think if you watched my How Naughty Dog Saved the Cat video and you listen to those podcasts, because I listened to all those podcasts as they came out first thing, and a lot of these ideas I had about Hero's Journey and this whole thing kind of tied in with that. Yeah. And so that Neil Druckmann basically said both those groups will no longer exist as they had. Like their leaders were killed, Emily and Isaac. Isaac atonement with the father. That was Abby's second atonement with the father. Do you think part 2 would be much better received the part prequel if the part was a prequel that focused on Ellie's mother, Anna? It probably would have been, maybe, just because so many people expected that. I know a lot of people expected that. Yeah, Isaac is dead. Isaac is totally dead. Great podcast. The TLOU podcast is really good. Awesome. Logan heard it as well. Isaac is dead. Isaac is dead, guys. Isaac is definitely dead. Yeah. All Isaac done was eat an apple then get shot. I do think that Isaac, both the WLF, like Isaac, and the Seraphites, Emily, I think both those actors are very, very good actors, and I think there was a decent amount that was cut out of both due to time and pacing. I really do. And maybe we'll see either in DLC or in the Factions 2, they have kind of like a multiplayer story mode. Maybe we see more of Isaac and Emily. The forbidden fruit, the apple. Maybe he is like the snake in the Garden of Eden. Maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? I never really mentioned that before, but it's definitely been in the back of my mind. Do you think Ellie would be able to play the guitar again? I'm glad you mentioned that. Heba Badir, I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually posted something about that on Twitter. I know I reference Twitter a lot, but Twitter is a great place for these conversations like this to take place. YouTube's not a great place for the continuing written discussions that people can pop in and out. It's great for live streams, for interactive, immediate discussions. It's great for that. Twitter is good for these kind of more less time focused discussions that can kind of evolve over weeks. I posted a picture of Django Reinhardt. Do you guys know who Django Reinhardt is? He did Minor Swing. I'm guaranteed if you heard the song, you would probably know it. Right? That's a good point, Ghost of Van. I think WF will go after Abby, right? She's like the new Joel. her like kind of her plot has some very strong similarities to Joel, right? Saving the kid at the end. Just saying. But Django Reinhardt, he injured his left hand, just like Ellie, injured his left hand in a fire, and his bottom two fingers did not function. He could not use them when playing guitar. So he only used his thumb and his middle finger and his pointer finger. Those are the same fingers that Ellie has. And he has this very unique style that he was known for. This kind of upbeat jazz that was, quite popular back, I think, in the 1920s. But those are the same fingers. So I absolutely think that Ellie can learn to play guitar again. And I referenced that in this Twitter post, that I hope in The Last of Us Part 3, Ellie plays some Django Reinhardt, because it would be perfect for her. It would absolutely be perfect for her. Like she would be exactly like him. So I thought that was fun. Wayfaring Stranger, yes, that is the song. And depending on if you beat the game on permadeath or grounded mode, Joel plays a different song at the end. He plays a different song at the end. She can play ukulele. She could. What if there's an alternate universe and there was a TLOU part when it focused on Abby and people in the universe were shouting for joy when Abby killed Joel? That's a completely valid point, Ash. I think it really is. I think that's what so much of this was, do you guys know the movie Rogue One? Show of hands. This is a Star Wars related film. It's not directly tied to, it's not like one of the, episodes, like 1 through 9 of Star Wars, but it is strongly related. It kind of takes place in between episode 3 and 4, like just before A New Hope. How many of you know Rogue One? I really liked that movie because it humanized the Empire, right? It humanized many of the characters within the Empire, right? Like, how could these horrible people, how could this Death Star weapons expert, right? I know it, but I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Yeah, that's okay. You only need to know a little bit about the film. So that film really humanized how you could have someone who was within the Empire, was very conflicted, and made this sacrifice for love, right? It's actually beautifully done. It's really, really well done. Almost my favorite of them all. You know what, Edsel Road? I completely agree with you. I think out of all the Star Wars movies, it's probably my favorite, even though it's not even part of the triple trilogy, right? Because it shows that it doesn't, like, to have these very one-dimensional villains and heroes, it doesn't really, for me, do much anymore. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is me. Yeah, that was great. Those characters were pretty awesome. But I really, really loved the weapons expert. I'm totally blanking on the actor's name. He's a fantastic. Is it Mads Mikkelsen? I think it's Mads Mikkelsen. I think he was the actor, and he did such a good job. Such a good job. Yeah. So to get back to The Last of Us, and The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 3, I can really see... Oh, actually, you know what? We should get into Dina's bracelet here. So there's the whole Dina's bracelet theory that a lot of people jumped on. A lot of YouTubers, just take that and they've claimed it as their own, which I think is BS, because the first person that posted that on Reddit happened a long time ago, and people just kind of like pretend like that they observed it. Like, oh, if you're really observant, you can see that Ellie has the Dina's bracelet at the end, and she did not have it at all in Santa Barbara, and this means there's a secret happy ending. She got back with Dina and all is well. So based on the story structure, which I think I've very, very, very well established in the Save the Cat video, I hope you guys understood how maybe that seems like it's not at all the case, right? It seems like it's not at all the case. Because why? Because why? Why would it not be the case? I want to see if anyone paid attention to my video. My Stardust, that's right. What do you guys think? I'll give you guys a moment to collect your thoughts and type something up. Why would Dina's bracelet why does it not matter that she suddenly has it on at the end? Why would that not indicate that she had this secret reconnection with Dina? Jordan does look like Ashton Kutcher. I agree. I'll put something up here in a second that indicates it. I think it's not true she is with Dina. Yeah, I don't think she is with Dina either. It's because of points from the Save the Cat model. It's from point 1 and point 5. Ellie's now on her own journey. She need to focus on her mission. So, what point 1 opening image, the farm, point 15 final image, the farm. So why in the Save the Cat, why does it always start with an opening image and the final image that are pretty much the same? Why does that happen? It is a structural technique to show the change that has happened over the course of the time. What's up, Pierre? Thanks for stopping in. At the very beginning, she had this, kind of false, I don't know what you call it, false victory, false Elysium of being happy on the farm, but PTSD, wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating. She looked terrible, right? She was not in a good state at all. Opening image. Final image. But to get back to the opening image, but the house had like life and love in it, right? Had JJ, had Dina. It showed everything that was there. The final image, beat number 15, final image shows what? The final image shows the house is empty. Dina and JJ are long gone. The house is a darker color. It doesn't seem vibrant and filled with life anymore. It seems desolate. The entire house is empty except for Ellie's like fun room, her painting / music room. It contrasts what has happened, the change, right? And because of that, that to me is incredibly important. Ellie went on this small journey in the epilogue, and she now has the freedom to choose. She has overcome her issues, right? At a cost. Lost 2 fingers, lost Dina, lost JJ. And more or less alienated Tommy. But Tommy is fun because what did you guys think of Tommy when he entered the house and started talking about Abby? What was your guys' first gut initial reaction? We really thought we was getting a happy ending with that house. I know, right? I know. I agree. Probably symbolic of her journey. Ellie could be wearing as a reminder of love, which she also lost with Joel's death. Good point, Walter. Excellent point. There's a missing scene. She also had no weapons. True, but maybe she had a horse, and maybe that before she got off, maybe the weapons were all on the horse, right? I don't think she would walk all the way out there from Santa Barbara, right? Tommy wasn't over Joel's death. Nope. I was truly shocked, says Mr. Tennis. I was too. As soon as I saw him, in the back of my mind was that meme. It was like, here we go again, right? Here we go again. And as soon as he started yes. So in my Siraj, in my video, which I think you watched it, talked about the half man. There's this trope of the half man, right? Who lost something. He lost his eyesight due to his fight with this monster in the house kind of thing, right? Tommy is so broken. He's emotionally broken. He's physically broken. He's lost everything. The only thing he's clinging to is this revenge that he can't even carry out himself because of his decisions, his cost, right? Everything that he did, right? And now he's foisting this guilt and everything upon Ellie, who he can't even see that Ellie is physically and emotionally distraught. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I got so uncomfortable. Ashley Johnson did such a good job with Ellie. The way she's like nervously kind of rocking and like staring off into space. Just looking so uncomfortable, right? Did you guys see that as well? Did you notice that as well? Yeah, that was something that I noticed that just really, really bothered me. It's like, man, Tommy, how can you not even see that she's like kind of like his niece, right? And man, he just like couldn't even see that she was hurting so much, and that made me sad. Didn't Tommy get shot by Abby? He got knocked in the water by Abby. Yeah, he did get shot in the eye back at the theater. That's why he's missing the eye. In the original, like at the marina, he just gets like knocked into the water, but then she does shoot him kind of in the side of the head. And that's why he lost his eyesight. An eye for an eye. He lost his eye the same way he shot Manny through the eye, right? I think that was reflective of the eye for an eye mentality. And if you look at the soundtrack, there's a song. It's called An Eye for an Eye. So there you go. Isn't it strange how after you beat The Last Part 2, it feels really short for some reason, even though it isn't? You want more? Yes. And once again, I would say it's because it's an incomplete hero's journey for Ellie. Abby's does have a complete journey, even though, you don't start with her until halfway through the game, pretty much. But her journey was pretty much complete, which is part of the reason why I feel like she won't have a huge role in Last of Us Part 3. I think she'll have an important role, but not like a huge role, not like Last of Us Part 2. It damaged his brain too, so he can't walk properly. I think it damaged him a lot of ways. Yeah. Tommy also, he serves as a warning to Ellie. Like, this is what happens when you're obsessed with revenge and you can't come to terms with it, right? You just don't understand how it kind of grazed the side of Tommy's head. So that's understandable to me that he wasn't killed from it. His leg was damaged from the kick by Abby and the arrow from Lev. I could see that. Yet Tommy was lucky to survive. He was. A lot of people think Tommy's a genius. I think he's a broken man. But he has his role. He does. Welcome back, Mr. Maha. Oh, thank you, Fire Girl. Thank you for the $1.99 in popcorn. Is Abby the same age as Ellie? Yes. I think Abby and Ellie are the exact same age. I think they are.
Step it up. Bound to be more coming.
Bound to be more coming. I like that one. That one's good. I found a bunch of the factions callouts, and so I've added those to the alerts. I do. Ellie made a promise to Tommy, and Tommy lost his marriage because of that promise. When Ellie broke that promise, Tommy got mad. That's kind of that's a good point, Tyrion, but it's also kind of a simplification of it. Yeah. Do you think Abby's friends meant to be likable? A lot of attractive parts when they were poorly humanized. Yeah, I think Abby's friends, some of them were easy to dislike. I think Nora is really easy to dislike. I think Jordan, you kind of really hate him at the very beginning, right? But then I feel just like a tiny bit of sympathy or empathy for him, right? Because he kind of saves Ellie, not intentionally, but says like, oh, let's hear her out for a second, right? Like that one guy's like, oh, like we have to kill all trespassers, like, and he's about to shoot Ellie, right? That's where Dina saves him by falling through the ceiling. Good job, good job, Dina. But Owen, I think Owen's pretty likable. I really do. How positive am I that there will be a part 3? Don't get my hopes up. Welcome, E-Ray. Thanks for being here. I've never seen you comment before, but thank you. I am pretty damn positive. I would say 99% sure that for me, there has to be a part 3. I kind of broke it down in this video, this Save the Cat, how Ellie's incomplete journey and how it's perfectly set up for a trilogy. And I think they really want to do a trilogy, and it would tie in really quite well with the fact that they're also making a TV series on HBO, which would give them a lot more what's the content to work with. It would. Hope to see what happens with Lev and Abby. Their stories are both rough and deserve a break. I want to know what happens next. Well, we know from that final page, right? The final scene, they end up on the shore. Let me see. I can actually pull up let me pull up a picture of it real quick. I know I have a picture of it, of that shore, within my many many screenshots here. Oh, here we go. We'll do that. Let me put these videos away. That. Okay. That picture. I'll stretch it out. Tink. This is the picture I'm talking about. So this is where I end. This is actually concept art. It looks almost exactly the same, right? But this is actually only concept art. If you guys haven't looked at the concept art, I would highly suggest to do that. Yeah, I agree, Pierre. I can't just end on part 2. I would agree with that. For me, yes, both Jesse's death and Manny's death were supposed to be shocking, and they're both mirrors of one another, right? They really were. They were sudden and shocking, and you were meant to feel that. Not everyone has this hero's death, right? It's just, yeah, it's crazy. But we look at this. So this is where Abby and Lev end up. once again, just speculation and whatnot. If you look at the concept art, Lev is not with Abby during like the whole finale kind of thing. That seems to have been added later. But you could, Mr. Tennis, if you have the Last of Us Part 2 game, you can unlock the concept art. A lot of it is in there. And so I always love looking at concept art. And obviously stories evolve over time. And like you start off with one story and you kind of like start meandering and moving in other directions. So like the concept art is not, you know, canon, so to speak. But it kind of gives an idea of where they started with the story. And with this image here, it shows where it ends. The Last of Us Part 2 ends. This is the title screen after you beat the game, and shows that both Abby and Lev made it to Catalina Island, to the round building that that really shows what? It shows. Oh, I kind of talked about this building in a previous live stream, and I guess I'll mention it again. So what do I see this last building as? Well, let me lock that real quick. Dink. So that building on the center left there is a round building, and that's how Druckmann described it in the Last of Us podcast, that they end up at this round building. And I think the Firefly says that, like, meet us at the round building, we'll find you, or something like that. And the city that building on Catalina Island is called Avalon. And Avalon is an island in Arthurian legend. Yep, thank you, Tyrion. It's Avalon. In Arthurian legend, Avalon is where King Arthur went after this epic battle to heal and recover and recuperate. And the reason I feel that has some significance
Straggler.
Is because when I think of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, the focus is on like the round table. And what is the purpose of this round table? It's that there's no head at the table, that everyone has an equal say at King Arthur's round table. Everyone is equal, about equality. And if you want to think about the Fireflies in the future being a positive influence in the world, of wanting to make a positive change, then I think that's where it would start. And so that's what I kind of see with this. I see Abby and Lev making it to a place where maybe it is a happy ending for them, that they're finally at a place that has, you know, what? That everyone has to say. That it's a positive view of the future. But of course, if it's part 3, they're gonna have some challenges to overcome. Absolutely. That place has some good history with King Arthur. It does. People don't grow without pain. I would probably agree with that. Well, you don't have to have pain to grow, but suffering and pain definitely increases the rate of growth, is what I would say. It's a catalyst for growth. It is. How do you feel about the notion that TLOU is an experience of misery with no purpose? I would probably disagree. I mean, I know just me personally, I can only speak from my own personal opinion on it. Everyone can have their own opinion and viewpoints. For me, this game made me think and feel probably more than any other game I've played. So that's what I would say. I would say this game made me think and feel more than any other game that I've played. Mr. Tennis, this background is a theme. It's on PSN. They released it on Last of Us Day. This this kind of beach. It's called The Beach, I think it's called. You can download it from PSN. You should definitely look it up. It's really good. It's a really, really good PSN theme. It's actually the one I have right now. Yeah. So that is that. How many years in the future do you think part 3 will be? I think for me that, and it really depends whether they decide to go in a new direction, like a new IP. Do they decide to focus on the new multiplayer project, which I think they are, which I personally am super excited about. People say we have to wait another 7 years. Well, look at it this way. For the people who really only like factions, I like the story and factions. I like them both, even though a large part of my channel is faction stuff. For me, like the factions people, they've still had to wait even more. Like the people who are only story people, you guys got your story, and now the factions people are still waiting. So keep that in mind. You know, when you say you don't want to wait 7 years. Now that being said, I don't think it'll be. I really, really don't think it'll be 7 years. I think they learned from this last one that the process took too long. It was their most ambitious game. Absolutely, it was. But maybe they took too long with it. I think they would definitely want to get it out a year or two before. I honestly believe that they wanted to. Obviously, having a pandemic and other issues come out of nowhere, that's just life. But my guess, 3 to 4 years. I would guess 3 to 4 years would be my guess. Developing with these studios will be much quicker, 4 to 5 years. Yeah, I'm thinking 3 to 4 years. I know Druckmann's kind of working a little bit with the series right now, the HBO series. Waiting for it so bad. Yeah, they're working on it. And Craig Mazin, and it's not just Druckmann, he's working with a very, very good writer. Craig Mazin did the Chernobyl with HBO. And I'm actually going to be talking about that kind of stuff here in a bit. I think it's really, really good. The HBO series is going to be excellent. I really do. And it can really enrich and enhance the environment of The Last of Us. It really can. They didn't start developing part 2 straight after part 1 because they were expecting to make one. I know they started toying around with part 2 soon after, but then the whole team went to Uncharted 4. It's part of the reason why the support for factions kind of died off quicker than maybe they had hoped, because the whole team was recalibrated or whatever, redirected to Uncharted 4, to getting Uncharted 4 out. And then a year after Uncharted 4, they did Lost Legacy. Came out a year later, right? Agreed, Mr. Tennis. Chernobyl is top 3 limited series of all time. It is. It's really, really good. And the fact that Craig Mazin is working on Last of Us brings a lot of warmth to my heart. I think it's great. And yeah, so there's a lot of reasons to be excited about The Last of Us going forward. Yeah, Game of Thrones is another one. The books are really good. Obviously, I mean, I kind of give the showrunners of Game of Thrones a bit of a break because it started off really good. It really did. And honestly, I think at the end they got tired of the show, and like HBO wanted to make it 10 seasons, and they were like, no, we can't do this for 10 seasons. That's like having been working on it for 14 years, you know? And so I understand them wrapping it up quickly. Did not come off well. Also, they did not have a lot of source material to work with at the end. So there's that issue as well. But if you look at Game of Thrones, first 4 seasons is phenomenal. Really, really good stuff. It is. And it's also kind of speaks really well to the medium. It really speaks to the medium of having these 1 hour episodic structure is excellent for telling a story. Excellent.
Hey, tourist!
Way better than any movie. Way better. So I'm excited about that. It was a disappointment, Mr. Tennis. Do you think, Mr. Maha, do you think Factions 2 will be more than just the 4v4 modes? I do. I think Factions 2 will be significantly different. And Rage's Rager has put some videos out about The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer, what it's kind of looking like going forward. And I might have a video or two coming forward here in a little bit about that as well. I think it'll be very different. I think it will, but I think it'll still be good. I think it has a ton of potential. I mean, their words, not even just my words, their words, ambitious. As ambitious as they were for Last of Us Part 2, they are being equally ambitious for the next iteration of Factions, which for me is pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool. Hopefully Part 3 is more hopeful. Ayane, well, you can submit your own TLOU journey. You can choose what you want it to be. Think. There you go. You can share your own vision of what you want The Last of Us Part 3 to be. Notice Boris Legasov trophy to... Yes, it was a nod to Chernobyl. Boris was really awesome in Hillcrest. I like that character. He was the ish of Last of Us Part 2. So good. So good. That's Hibba, that's a good point. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what direction the casting goes. I agree. It's something I've been thinking about recently. But yeah, I'll pitch this TLOU journey one more time. You guys should definitely, if you're interested in Last of Us Part 3, look at the hero's journey. If nothing else, look at this really simplified view. Here, I'll do it right here. This. That one. Dink. This thing. Separation, descent, initiation, return. Ordinary world, special world. You leave the ordinary world. You learn. You go back to the ordinary world. There's that. And there's also this. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Something is wrong. They leave, face trials, become a hero, return home, save the day. That is the very, very short version of Hero's Journey. Super short. So you can think of that. If you want to get really ambitious, you can use Save the Cat model. This would be more ambitious, but it could still be really, really fun. Shane, I will answer that at a later time, I think in a video, who I think will play. I want to take some time to do some really good research and provide you guys with a really good answer of who would play Joel and Ellie. And who would play Bill, and who would play Tess, and who would play Sam, Henry, Marlene. Marlene's a huge one. Who would play Anna? Who would play Riley? A lot of characters, right? And in a show, you can really jump around a lot more. I think it'd be cool to see more of who'd play Tommy. I think it'd be great to see more backstory from all the characters, to be honest. And I think most people would enjoy that as well. Felt sorry for Boris. Yeah, Boris was a tragic character, you know. Boris was a really, really interesting character in that, you know, he saw his daughter die and saw his community really let him down. And then he became a badass. Like poisoned those people and locked him in that like automotive little shop thing in the back. Badass Boris. Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. I want to answer some questions. We're like nearing the end here, so I want to answer some questions first. And then maybe we'll end with a raid. I'll see if someone is streaming right now on YouTube, and we can kind of do a fun kind of raid. The voice actor for Bill should play Bill. W. Earl Brown is his name. He's on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter. He's like responded to me multiple times when I've mentioned Bill and stuff like that. Super cool dude. Once again, if you guys aren't on Twitter, I don't get any like kickbacks or anything for like saying get on Twitter or anything like that. The whole reason I'm doing it is because I've had all these amazing interactions with actors, directors, game developers, like literally the people who have made this game, who voiced the actors. Like you can have interactions with these people on here, and it is amazing. And you're right in the thick of this. Like when news comes out, you can get this news. You can hear about this both for good and for both the good news and the bad news. I mean, that's how I found out about that there would be no multiplayer in This Is Part 2. I found it from Twitter right away, right? And I'm sure, you know, when there's a Factions 2 or whatever the next iteration is called trailer, you'll find out very quickly on Twitter. And so, but just having the interaction with these other people and other people in the community. Art Vandelay's on there, Firegirl's on there, I'm on there. There's tons of people that are in the community that are on there. Whales hype. What's up, Bon? Oh, thank you, Jack. Thanks for becoming a strategist, man. I appreciate that. He is a good actor. He absolutely, I've mentioned this so many times. I think people will think I'm kind of like this Bill fanboy, but he really nailed it. He did such a good job. W.L. Brown did such a good job with Bill. He got, out of the limited time we have with Bill in The Last of Us, he made the most of it. Absolutely crushed that role. Did such a good job. Thank you once again, Jack, for becoming a strategist. I appreciate it. Something else about being a member. So going forward in the future, so all of my kind of live discussion, live streams, events, live discussions are all like free to watch. You know, like anyone can watch them in the live stream playlist. But going forward, the factions live streams will be members only. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, it definitely offers more value to the members, but also having those factions live streams just always on my channel kind of messes with the YouTube algorithm and kind of has, I think, really hurt the Save the Cat video as far as like the reach and the audience. And so that is the second reason why that is the case. But honestly, most people don't watch my factions live streams after they've been viewed. Very few people do. But if you receive a little note that says that you have to be a member to watch it, that's why. So just being upfront about that. But yeah. Ashley John playing Ellie's mother in a TV show. That would be a trip, huh? Bill tripwired a whole town. He did. Oh, thank you, Jack. I'm the first channel you became a member to. Oh, I feel honored, man. I feel so honored. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, right now we got about like 15 minutes or so left. I want to hear questions from you guys. Do you guys have any questions about Hero's Journey or Save the Cat? Do you have questions about how to formulate your own TLOU journey kind of submission? Let me know. Let me know, and I will answer it right now. Guess who will be becoming a member very soon then? I'm gonna guess W.O. Brown is gonna become a member. Could be Mr. Maha, maybe. Yeah. And I do try to put all of the members both in the intro and other time. Here you go. For future live streams, you will have yourself up here as a member. Yeah. You're not liking the idea of a show so far. Oh, I think you should definitely think about it. I think it'll be really, really good. They made explicitly clear that they wanted to remain true to the story, the original story. And so I don't think they're going to really deviate super strongly from it. From what they've said, they want it to enrich and enhance the story they have already. He is in Deadwood. Also another great show, episodic HBO show. I'm telling you guys, Westworld, there's so many good shows on HBO. Like, really, as a community, we are super fortunate to have The Last of Us on HBO. I completely agree with that. Do you think the WF are bad people? No, I don't really view people as good people, bad people. I can understand their viewpoint just as I can understand the Seraphites. Hell, I can even understand David and the Silver Lake. You know, if you're freezing to death in the snow, in that snowy, desolate mountain range, it's like you know, you don't really know what it's like until you're foisted in that situation. And I know David's a creep, but he did a very good job kind of like elaborating, like, hey, do you think we had a choice? Like, he did a good job. That was Nolan North was the actor for that. He did a fantastic job with him. Fantastic job. It's kind of bouncing back to a previous combo. No worries. But did the Rattler's compound fit the description of the Firefly's compound? Oh, yeah. I think some people were wondering about that. Like, did they trick Abby into like revealing her location so that they could get her? And I don't think that was it. I think Abby actually did contact the Fireflies and Catalina. I really think she did. I don't think it was just an entire Rattler kind of like trick. Oh, thank you, Walter. Walter became a strategist. Thank you so much, Walter. I appreciate that, man. Are we going to hear the strategist David's voice again? Hello, Ellie. Name's David. No, I don't want to do the David voice. You ever thought of trying to bring a Naughty Dog guest onto the channel? That's a good question, Mr. Tennis. I think... Thank you once again, Walter, for becoming a member. I appreciate that very, very much. That's a good question, Mr. Tennis. I think I would like to. I want to respect both their non-disclosure agreement. I know there's very little they can say. But also, I think part of me would maybe like to do that after Factions 2 is released, to have a discussion about that, because I know they wouldn't be able to talk about Factions 2 at all, and I think a lot of questions would be along those lines. Yeah, I really do. I really, really do. But also along the storylines, sure, I think it'd be great to have someone come to speak about the story, because so much of part 2 is just about the story. I mean, it's a great, great game. Just technically, the game is amazing, right? I think 99.9% of people can agree that the game is a technical marvel. It really, really is. Yeah. But the story is what everyone wants to talk about. It is. The story is what they want to talk about. They should invite you to do a retro replay. It'd be great. You're playing Factions with Nolan. Yeah. Anthony Caliber did speedruns with Nolan. That was funny. Yeah, he's a funny guy. Nolan's such a funny guy. And actually Anthony is as well. He's got this very snarky sense of humor that I like. I think a lot of people like seeing Anthony rage. I do as well. I was watching him when he was playing The Last of Us Part 2, and he couldn't get the guitar thing. He does it super quick, but he was kept messing up on like the very first scene, Joel playing the guitar, like the little like mini game, what do you want to call it? And it was so funny. He's getting so upset. Yeah. Are there any changes you think could be made to the HBO series that the TLOU story could potentially benefit from? I think it would just more elaborate on everyone's backstories quite a bit. I mean, just think of like Joel, pre-outbreak Joel, Marlene, Anna, like Ellie's birth and that whole thing. Anna, Marlene's relationship with the Fireflies. Bill and Frank, how they ended up in Billstown. Both the beginning and ending of the relationship, like what happened to Bill after. I mean, there's so much they could go into. Joel and Tommy during Hunter years, you know, like that whole thing. There's so much that they can elaborate on. They really, really could. Do you think Abby knew or cared that Ellie and Joel were close? I don't think she really knew. Oh, thank you, James. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here so much. I still have, like, I don't know, 10 minutes left. And I definitely want to answer as many questions as you guys. Oh, thank you for being here, Art. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day, man. Yeah, have a good one as well, James. Thank you for being here. Enjoy. Have a good rest of your day. Part 1 and 2 are phenomenal games, best games ever. I agree. I agree, James. Or Shane. It's, I mean, I've played these games a lot. I mean, I definitely have spent more time playing these games than probably any other. Actually, I know that for a fact. And, yeah, it's really, it's the stories of both. So I think if part 1 is very simple, part 2 is more complex. They both have, and there's beauty and simplicity of part 1. There's this underlying simplistic beauty of it that I think a lot of people are drawn towards. Part 2 demands more of the player than any game I've ever experienced in my entire life. By far the most. It demands so much of the player. And that's why it's really, really challenging and difficult for a lot of people to get behind and to play, right? Yeah. Abby was too focused on revenge to care about anyone. She lost everything for her revenge. Right? After she lost her dad and the Fireflies, she went down this descendant path. She ends up losing all her friends. Owen, her best friend. And best friend with benefits. But she lost them all. Like, some people forget, like, oh, like, people are bitter that they say Abby got this happy ending and Ellie didn't. I'm like, you guys might want to take another look at Abby's storyline, right? She lost everything. She did. But she was able to turn it around at the end. Because she went through this hero's journey, and thanks to Lev really saved Abby. Multiple times, actually. Cut Abby down, right? From the rope, Seraphite's rope. And then also kept her from committing something that she probably would have regretted. And I think if you look after Joel's death, Abby regrets that, or she feels empty and hollow. It was not rewarding at all. And I think she realized, like, this 5 years or whatever of revenge, this wanting to get to Joel, it was not satisfying at all. Yeah, it was not satisfying at all. Do you think TLOU 1 will take more than one season to tell? What do you think part 2 will come? I don't know, to be honest. What's up, Arav? Welcome. As far as HBO goes, yeah, I don't know the pacing of the HBO show. I think they're going to it'll probably be quicker than you would think. That was, I think, one of the downfalls of Game of Thrones, was the pacing started off really slow and then they try to wrap it up really quick at the end, right? And so that felt weird. And so I think they're going to be more intentional with their pacing and try to keep it a good pace. Multiple seasons, obviously, but not drag, right? That'll be really important. Plot twist, Abby and Ellie have the same mother. That'd be crazy. That would be crazy. That'd be a good twist. It really would. What's part of the Fireflies? I guess he was all the way out at Salt Lake. We didn't get to see much backstory for her like we did with Ellie. I know, it's right. We really didn't. Hello, Magic Line. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. So, let's see. Any final questions about the TLOU journey, the hero's journey, Save the Cat? I really, really hope, I know I've said it multiple times this live stream, but I really hope you guys submit some good stuff, because I'm so looking forward to reading off what you guys have. I really, really am. Really, really am. You should check out a kung fu movie called The Blade from '95. It's supposed to be a deconstruction of the game genre. It's an anti-revenge film that is a revenge fantasy on the surface. The Blade. That sounds interesting. I'll have to check out The Blade. Itachoy. will try to course correct. No, I'm not too afraid that they'll try to course correct. I mean, if you look at this as a trilogy, right? If you guys look at this as a trilogy, you have part 1, I think, which offers hope, much like Star Wars, the very first Star Wars that ever came out did. And this was kind of like The Empire Strikes Back. And I wasn't really conscious or around at that time when The Empire Strikes Back came out. But from what I've read, Empire Strikes Back was initially really poorly received. Like, people hated it because of it kind of like flipped certain aspects on its head and had this big surprise, and people thought it was, really dark, but it's because it was setting up Return of the Jedi. It was setting up the third one, right? And it overall made the entire series, I think, that much more enjoyable when you have that, right? Shoop. Yeah, absolutely. You guys take your time with the heroes, with the TLOUjourney. Like, you guys have like over a week to submit stuff. So take your time, really let it marinate a bit, and we'll see if we get some really, really good submissions for that. That live stream will be on, let me see, I think Saturday, October 24th. That's when that one will be. Right there. Saturday, October 24th. So you have time. You have 10 days, week and a half almost, right, to work on your submission. If you need to, you can watch this video, the How Naughty Dog Saved the Cat again. Pay close attention to the hero's journey, the steps. But I kind of broke down the simplified version. That's all you really need to know, those really simple 3 beats of separation, initiation, and return. Separation, initiation, return. Why do you think Sony went ahead with so many decisions that Neo went with? They trusted him that much. Part 2 feels like an art house movie. Sony is very much hands off with its studios. It acquires, numerous studios, but it really, really wants them to do their thing. It does. And I think that's a good move on Sony's part. It gives them creative freedom to do what they do best. I think it's a good idea for them to do something and give a little more background, like Bill. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they'll definitely go into more side characters and backgrounds. Absolutely. You can Magic Line submit it. You can submit it any time the next 10 days. Just submit it before that day. Submit it at least by Friday, I would say, so I have time to view it. Yeah, Jack. So this monthly challenge. So for the past year, I spent an entire year doing challenges for the community. They were all factions-based, or mostly factions-based. A couple of them weren't. This is one that is not factions-based. Anyone can do this. All you need is a Twitter account and a keyboard to type up your story. I want people to submit how they think the Last of Us trilogy should conclude. Basically, it's what your view of The Last of Us Part 3 should be. And I'm just looking for creative and interesting submissions. That's it. I'm not looking for you to predict exactly what's going to happen. I don't want that at all. I don't want people to try to predict exactly. I just want to see what kind of creative stories people can come up with and share it. Go to Twitter. You can tag me at TLOUstrategist and use the hashtag TLOUjourney within your tweet. And you may need additional space to fully flesh out your story. You can take a picture and add your story as a picture, or you can use TwitLonger as well to create your story. If you want, you can literally list the hero's journey beats or save the cat beats with your responses if you want, but basically use the hero's journey framework to make this part 3 suggestion. Yeah, that's my idea with it. Like a fanfic sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Jack. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people have really, really good ideas, and I would just like to see all the different ways and methods that this story could end, because I really think it's a part 3. But because of the way that, once again, as they structured part 2, it would kind of be a bummer if it just ended there. It would be incomplete. It's okay if you're not great at story writing. Just use the framework and come up with whatever ideas you feel from your heart would be good. I think you might surprise yourself. And you even try it a couple times, and I think each time you do it, you go through the process, you become more and more comfortable. I really do. What if Naughty Dog, during the promotion for part 2, they only showed Abby's section to create that they were trying? Yeah, that would probably not go well. I'm okay with them keeping stuff like a bit hidden. I wanted to know as little about the story as possible, because you really can extrapolate things out quite a bit if you do. Thank you, Shane. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will have some videos coming out within a week or two. And once again, on the 24th, we'll have another live stream just like this, where I'll go over specifically a lot of your stories. And I will submit another one for myself as well. I have one that was in the back of my head that I've been thinking about for a long time. Thank you, Emma. It is such a great game. It really, really is. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Hiba. Thank you for stopping in. Yeah, so I'm probably going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. This was a ton of fun, and I do like having this nice positive interaction with you guys. Yeah, this is a place where you can share all your thoughts about this game, and it's really, I'm open to your guys' suggestions and your thoughts. I would really want to hear what you think, because this game, like I said, that this game demands more of the player than any other game. It does, and that also means that we need to process it. This game really requires that we process it. And what better way to process it than to be here talking with one another. So thank you guys so much for this. This was a fun day. These 2 hours, it was 2 hours. I can't believe it just flew by. And yeah, I will catch you guys all in the next one. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Cheers.